Nothing has brought me greater joy than watching the Walt Disney Company absolutely panic over the last few weeks. They're mad at South Park because they're making fun of their woke ideologies, constantly race swapping or religion swapping everything in their movies.
It's a brand new exclusive event with all your favorite South Park characters.
I had explosive diarrhea all night. Dude, school is going to be so awesome today.
Oh, hamburgers.
I like big boobs.
It should come as no surprise that South Park has chosen to target Disney's woke agenda by parodying the company's attempts with numerous other Disney productions, including Snow White, directed by Rachel Zegler. Given that South Park has already taken similar action against Disney, this was to be expected. But it appears that Rachel Zegler is enraged by their and everyone else's mockery. In a very satirical portrayal of what Disney is attempting to accomplish with several of its upcoming films, South Park has chosen to screen an episode titled Into the Pandaverse, in which they have replaced Cartman, Stan, Butters, and Kenny with adult women of color in terms of both gender and ethnicity. Disney has faced a great deal of criticism lately for casting Rachel Zegler as Snow White when she was a Latina, and for rewriting the narrative to make it appear more feminist and empowering while removing crucial elements that define the original Snow White tale and gave it its unique identity. Rachel Zegler claims that any hint of romance between her and the prince has been eliminated in the film. In an interview that some fans find extremely disrespectful, she even hinted that the prince could as well not even be in the plot.
Prince or a different kind of prince?
We have a different approach to what I'm sure a lot of people will assume is a love story just because like we cast a guy in the movie.
Right.
Andrew Burnap, great dude.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that I think everyone's gonna have their assumptions about what it's actually going to be, but it's really not about the love story at all, which is really, really wonderful. And whether or not she finds love along the way is anybody's guess until 2024. All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood, baby.
Many people have harshly criticized Rachel Zegler's attitude, since it appears that she is incredibly entitled and ungrateful for the part.
Snacks all over the set that are apple flavored. And that hurts my feelings.
I was gonna say,
it's like they don't know what happens to me. There's gonna be so many stories that come from the set about how difficult I am to work with simply because I don't want apples. In a dress of an iconic Disney princess, I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is.
So that is Rachel Zegler. She is casted as Snow White in the upcoming new movie. And ever since she has been casted, she has been problematic from the start. Every single interview that she does, her tone of voice is very rude and she comes off very rude. The movie right now has such bad publicity because of her and her interviews.
She and her interviews are to blame for the current terrible publicity the movie is receiving. Fans particularly despise her for suggesting that the original Snow White narrative was terrible, and for believing that this new adaptation, which hardly resembles the original Snow White story at all, is the only accurate telling of the tale. Disney has not only eliminated the significance of the prince by ostensibly not having him and Snow White fall in love, but they have also totally altered the 7 dwarfs, who are actually in the original title. Furthermore, the hiring of a Latina actress as Snow White has drawn a lot of criticism for the studio. Because Snow White was chosen to be Latina, the original character's name, which was derived from her skin being as white as snow, can no longer be connected to the new film. This dubious decision was also made in the earlier release of The Little Mermaid this year, which also faced intense criticism for needlessly altering the lead character's race. Though most of the criticism directed towards The Little Mermaid stemmed from her race, fans are extremely incensed about Snow White's numerous other issues. Many of the amazing original components of The Little Mermaid were preserved in the adaptation, which was nearly an exact replica of the story. But Snow White has undergone so many alterations in an apparent attempt to appeal to woke audiences that the new film is essentially unrecognizable. Comedy Central intervened to counter this by creating a special South Park episode in which the main characters' races and genders are switched, highlighting the humor of the situation and demonstrating how absurd it is. Nobody is truly safe because Comedy Central is widely known for taking potshots at different studios for their wokeness and even for their left and right-wing political beliefs. But this isn't the first time South Park has targeted Disney. Their latest Pandaverse special is supposed to make fun of every studio that produces content for politically conscious audiences. But it seems specifically targeted at Disney because of Snow White and Rachel Zegler, as well as the studio's previous release of The Little Mermaid. The primary goal of the episode's theme is to demonstrate that, particularly in a pre-existing narrative like South Park or Snow White, merely altering a character's gender or ethnicity does not constitute true diversity because there is nothing in the story that allows viewers to relate to characters who are ethnically diverse. It's also meant to highlight how superficial some of these modifications feel, as the studios ultimately treat diversity as a box to be checked rather than as an integral component of the narrative. Additionally, it makes fun of the decision to cast Rachel Zegler as Snow White, as Disney seems to be more concerned with the diversity's pageantry than with whether or if it advances the plot. Furthermore, many fans are discouraged from wanting to celebrate Rachel's casting because of her attitude toward the plot, which doesn't help their cause. That's precisely what's sometimes referred to as pandering, which is how the episode earned its title in the Pandaverse. It demonstrates that choosing a Latina actress for Snow White is more of a publicity stunt meant to appease a particular demographic and earn brownie points. Furthermore, South Park seeks to show how this kind of pandering is extremely disrespectful to true fans of the original plot, who have since lost all interest, in addition to being terrible for Rachel, who is now being exposed and made fun of. The creators, Matt Stone and Trey Parker, have previously collaborated with Paramount to produce satirical episodes that have taken aim at Disney's decisions. They released The Streaming Wars and The Streaming Wars Part 2 back in 2022. At the time, this episode was incredibly contentious. They appear to be back again though, as they don't hesitate to tromp on anyone's toes, Disney's in particular. Disney is reportedly trying to get in touch with the studio to prevent them from airing similar episodes because they view it as a direct threat to their business model. Disney is apparently very angry with the studio for treating them badly once more after first making fun of them for Star Wars. Disney has stated repeatedly that their goal is to create more diverse stories. It appears that this entails remaking beloved characters by racializing those who don't need to be there rather than creating brand new original stories, which can result in better stories that genuinely seem well considered and significant for the groups that are represented. Creator Bob Iger of South Park and the Disney board are reportedly trying to resolve the issue through a meeting to ensure that Disney is not overly harmed and that South Park refrains from making fun of them going forward, since this is beginning to pose a direct danger to their business model. Not only has South Park made fun of Star Wars, which Disney recently bought, but it has also attacked the cherished animated character Mickey Mouse, which Disney deemed to be extremely offensive. But this latest installment about Disney's pandering may be their most contentious release to date because it targets not just Disney, but also a number of other studios that endorse comparable causes, and even fans who think it's okay to alter such significant portions of already published works. It's meant to convey precisely how unsettling it is to have something so familiar altered drastically while keeping the original name. In addition to being disrespectful to the original author of the tale and all of the collaborators, deleting the love narrative from Snow White seems like a cheap shot because they might have done more to improve and thoughtfully consider the love story rather than removing it entirely. Love is something that should not be disguised because it is not flawed in any manner. If the prince hadn't been entirely erased from Snow White's life, and she hadn't been rewritten to be a warrior who only cared about her country, fans would have thought that Snow White could still be a formidable force to be reckoned with, and that there could have been a truly lovely scene in the film. It feels like Disney is attempting to alienate its devoted fan base in order to appease awakened minds, because there isn't anything in this new adaptation that viewers can identify to. This is especially true given the opportunity to create a completely new film with a brand new plot. Since Rachel Zegler has been a major proponent of these modifications, and has essentially been the leading proponent of revising the story since she feels it is extremely out of date. She is the target of particular criticism. It seems particularly inappropriate because Rachel has never been a fan of Snow White, something she made very obvious when she expressed her distaste for the tale in an interview, not even trying to hide it. What do you think South Park is doing to Rachel Zegler in Disney? Please comment below, and don't forget to watch the next video.